everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin, I'm a geek. You are watching Kevin the Geek, and welcome back to my monthly video where I read through all of your comments that you left on my videos and I pick out certain ones and I try and respond to them. Of course, I apologise in advance that I don't get round to responding to every single comment on these videos. I do my best. If I don't respond to it on the video, then I may try and respond to it by writing a comment. Again, I can't promise to do it to everyone. It's only where I can actually give a response to. But I just have a massive thank you, as always, first of all, to everyone who wished me a very happy birthday. I had a very nice birthday. And I think the crowning birthday present I got from my best friend, he really surprised me with basically a ticket for me and him to go and see Peter Kay next year. Obviously he's been on tour for a while, and apparently pretty much it was either the day of my birthday or the day before, a bunch of extra dates and stuff were released. So yeah, he somehow managed to get a ticket for both me and him to go and see Peter Kay live. So that is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to that. That's not going to be until like May, but yeah, that was a damn good present. But otherwise, another great present that I had was the 55 new subscribers that I got for the channel, which is the highest since July. So a massive thank you to the 55 subscribers. And of course, 20 of them are publicly named. You have your settings changed, so you appear as the actual names. So hopefully your names will be scrolling through the video so you can see who you all are. And of course, a massive thank you to all of my patrons. I'm currently on 37 patrons for the month of November, with 4 people becoming new patrons. And again, your names should be scrolling through. So yeah, just a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. I'm going to do my best not to make this an insanely long video. What I do want to just very quickly start with is address a comment that actually came in December. Literally the first of the month, the very first reaction video I did for my Christmas month. And bear in mind that was a video that I recorded about 2 weeks beforehand, so sort of middle of November, before my birthday in actual fact. I recorded it, and that was the Christmas reaction to the snooker game show Big Break. The reason that I wanted to address this is I obviously uploaded that on Patreon at 9 AM on the 1st of December. It went live on YouTube at 5 PM, and I did that to coincide with the final of the UK Championship snooker final. Nice way to kind of tie it in, maybe get a few extra views as a result of that. What I was not expecting, of course, is late in that evening, I think it was announced after the actual final had completed, after Judge Trump won the title, it was announced that former world champion, UK champion, and Masters champion, so a member of the, I think it's one of only 11 people who've ever won each of the 3 what's known as the Triple Crown events in snooker, Mr. Terry Griffiths. He sadly passed away at the age of 77 after a long battle with illness and dementia and things. So very late on the 1st of December, he passed away. And the episode I've done of Big Break happened to feature Terry Griffiths. Obviously, that was a Christmas special from '94, I think, if I remember correctly. And I got a couple of comments, basically from people who clearly were morons, who didn't understand, what I'd done. They didn't understand when I'd uploaded it, and they basically accused me of trying to profit from the death of Terry Griffiths, which I thought was very sad that people would think that little of me. Clearly, they're new people to the channel. I deleted their comments. I'm not allowing things like that to be on the channel. Yeah, obviously I recorded it way in advance. If they'd announced it, say even like 4:30, and I became wind of it, I would have changed my schedule around. I would have delayed it, because to be honest, just out of respect, I think, for him, I wouldn't have wanted to have the episode go live literally on the day that he passed away. But yeah, that's what it is. I'm not letting it get me down. It's one of them things. That's part and parcel. You get trolls in this gig. So yeah, there we go. All right, on to actual comments from November. Starting off from Louise, it is so typical of you to think about other people and offer 50% off your Patreon for Christmas. Excuse me. Just strengthens my view that you're one of the kindest, most thoughtful persons out there, and it's a pleasure to support you. Well, thank you very much, Louisa. Louisa, long-term person, supporter of the channel. I think it was Louisa who put me onto the 3x3 Inside Number 9 episode, sent me that for, which I eventually did for April Fool's Day. Yeah, when I started the Patreon, the thing I had in the back of my mind is I want it to be something that is affordable for people, that they're going to feel that they're getting a benefit out of, and ultimately it's something to help support me and support the channel, and it's mostly to help me improve the quality of the channel. I'm not using this to try and make a living out of this. It'd be lovely if it did, but I'm not intending it to. So people supporting me, since I started the Patreon, I've now got to the point I've got about £500 I've earned from it, which, I'm getting ready to get to the point where I want to, invest in new lights and new cameras and things like that to do it. I even potentially might put it towards something for next year, which would be really a stupid thing to kind of do it for, but I think kind of fun. I don't want to reveal it. I'm trying to think of how I can say this to give you an idea of what I've got planned, but I don't think I can. I don't think I can reveal it, because if I do, I can mention one single word and that will probably give you a complete clue and a complete guide as to what I'm thinking I might like to try and do. So I'm not going to say it. If I go down this route and I do what I am intending to do, it will at least form the basis of trying to do at least an intro to a video. If not, potentially just spawn an extra video as well. I just can't say much more than that. Right, moving on. The next episode of One Foot in the Grave is my favourite episode of the whole show. Maybe because I saw it for the first time around the time I flew to the UK and landed at Luton Airport. So, this was the Series 1 finale episode of One Foot in the Grave. So in November I did 2 episodes rather than my usual one for the monthly basis. And what I have since done, if you are not already aware, of course, on Patreon, one of the things I did right towards the end of the month is I released every single reaction that I've now recorded for the second series of One Foot in the Grave, which will come to the channel at some point next year. But I wanted to release them early because I wanted to then be able to do the 2 Christmas specials that follow from Series 2 without fear of spoilers. So if you're only watching on YouTube, Series 2 of One Foot in the Grave will come next year, but this month there will be 2 episodes of One Foot in the Grave. Actually, when is this video? I can't remember when. Hang on, December. So, right, so if you're watching this video on the day it comes out on YouTube, which is hopefully on the Saturday, tomorrow it is going to be the first episode, the first Christmas special for One Foot in the Grave, which is a bloody good episode. I'm not going to lie, it's a really, really good episode. And then later on this month, just before Christmas, you will have the second One Foot in the Grave Christmas special. But if you want to see Series 2, then of course, I'm offering Patreon as a 50% discount, so if you aren't already a member of Patreon and you want to go for the highest tier level, which would normally be £6, you can do it for just £3 this month, join to the Boffin tier. That will give you access to Series 2 of One Foot in the Grave. It'll also give you access to the full uncut movie reactions of all the ones that I've released so far on that. So things like Beetlejuice and Planes, Trains and Automobiles and one of the Lord of the Rings movies and things like that. You can go back, you can check them all out. £3, it's literally the price of a cup of coffee these days. So yeah, consider it if you want to, but you don't have to, of course. From Chewing the Fat, the Gaelic sock puppets are like the ultimate in-joke. Everyone in Scotland finds them hilarious. No one else in the world has any idea what's going on. I still have no idea what's going on with them sock puppet things with Chewing the Fat. Nobody's really tried to explain what it is for it. So if anyone could actually fill me in on what that in-joke is, I'd be delighted to try and hear it. Kevin, what happens on Patreon? Do I get to look at everything for a subscription? So, great question. I have actually kind of responded in writing to this one, but I thought I'd put it into a video as well. So, yes, if you're unaware with Patreon, so on a normal basis, I have 4 tier levels. The Dork tier level, which is my lowest tier level, is £2. That one, basically, you just get, it's just a general low-cost thing that you can do if you just want to put a little bit of money my way to help support the channel. You won't get too much with it beyond that, but there is some stuff I'll still try and put out every now and again that you can still get included in the Dork level. The next level up is the Nerd tier level, and that's the one that most people tend to go for. That one, the usual price is £4. That you get early access to my videos, and that could be in the way that it's just your normal video. So if I'm releasing something today, then today's video would be early, a day earlier, or sometimes a little bit more, depending on how the schedule falls. But you get the early access to that. Then, of course, you will get sometimes things like I do with, I've done it with Outnumbered, I've done it with One Foot in the Grave. Might record a whole series in advance, put it all out on one day, and then obviously it comes out on a weekly basis. You can see them week by week on YouTube if you wanted to, but you get much earlier access with that. Next level up from that is the Boffin tier level, which is normally £6, and that of course gives you everything that you've already got, and then it will give you access to my full uncut movie reactions. And then finally, the top tier level is the Super Geek tier level, which is restricted. That one is normally £10 a month. Obviously, bear in mind all these prices for new members this month is half price. So, you know, £6 down to 3 or 4 down to 2 and so on. But the Super Geek tier level, again, you get access to everything else, and you also get a guaranteed reaction of your choice per month, which I put out usually on Patreon that month, and then YouTube the following month. Obviously, with this month or in Christmas, it might be a little bit different, but that's generally how it goes. But that one is restricted. Currently, I only have 3 per month as a restricted. I am considering in the new year maybe opening that up to 7, which sounds like a big jump, which it is. But by doing it that, what I may then do is dedicate one single week each month that would be for guaranteed reactions, and all the rest of the stuff in the rest of the month would be regular content that I do for the channel. So there you go, that is Patreon. It's a shame this reaction to Outnumbered isn't full to watch on YouTube. Your reaction to some of the jokes are very appropriate, especially to all the terrorist related jokes and Ben being high on caffeine. I loved this holiday airport episode of Outnumbered. It was absolutely hilarious. Definitely one of the best ones, if not the best, of Series 2 of Outnumbered. Outnumbered is a strange one for the copyright. So typically, as a general rule of thumb, if I get a copyright claim and it's from a production company called Little Dot Studios, they're pretty good at just going, yep. As soon as I submit a dispute, they'll just go, yep, that's fine, and they'll remove the claim, and then that's fine. But then, like the one that would have come out literally, the last one in November. It had a claim that was it was basically blocking viewers in Australia and New Zealand. Nowhere else in the world. Very, very strange. I've had other ones that it's just blocked in like certain countries. And it's just like, who has the copyright to a specific episode? It just seems to change on a day-to-day basis. So it's very, very confusing for Outnumbered. But I can guarantee the Christmas episode that is coming up this month, which is the Robbers episode, that one will be fully available on YouTube. That I've already recorded it and uploaded it because I wanted to try and dispute it. I've got the dispute in. It has been cleared, so that will be absolutely fine. That will be coming out on Boxing Day. Alexa, wake up call, 5 a.m. Right, you can blame Jack for that one. I actually unplugged my my Alexa for the purpose of that little joke. Let me know if my joke, as suggested by Jack, has annoyed any of you and screwed you over a little bit and set an alarm for you. A great episode of Benidorm. It's always nice to see a slimy, manipulative, controlling a-hole like Malcolm get his comeuppance. The Maltbys were brilliant and wholesome as ever, and Kenneth really helped them out. I'm with you on mushrooms. I love them either cooked or raw, and often take a couple of raw mushrooms as a snack from the fridge. I always put them in raw through my salads I make as well. Yeah, I've literally made like ham and mushroom sandwiches. I literally just slice up mushrooms and have them raw in a sandwich. I love it. I don't know why. It's the texture, the taste, it's everything for me. It is absolutely great when you see a horrible character get their comeuppance. I'm actually going to be doing a show next year. I'm doing a musical of 9 to 5, based of course on Dolly Parton's music. And I'm going to be playing the sleazy boss in that show, where he is affirmed by himself. He uses the line frequently. He is a sexist, hypocritical, lying, egotistical bigot. I've had a lot of jokes made from the people in the cast going, "Oh, Kevin, you're very typecast for that role." I really don't like to think I am. I really don't think I'm sexist or hypocritical or egotistical or a bigot or anything like that. Yeah, it's fun sometimes. I think playing a darker character. I think personally. Anyway. Kevin, I didn't realise I was putting you through the pain barrier against your will with Rising Damp. To think you're doing me a bore chore. I'm riddled with guilt. Suck it up, Kev. It's a different era. They do get better. Look, I've said this a lot of times with Rising and Damp. It's not that I dislike it or it's a pain to get through or anything like that. All the episodes with Series 1 so far, they're slow to get up to, and then by the end, they're really great. It's just that slow build-up, and I think every time I go to do an episode, I forget that it does get really good by the end, and I'm just like, ugh, I've got to persevere, I've got to try and push through this. But if there was something that I really didn't like, and I really didn't want to do, I wouldn't do it. I don't care if you guys would keep suggesting everything in the world to me. If I really don't like it, and I'm not going to get any enjoyment out of it, I ain't going to watch it. Simple as that. I wonder if Chris Chibnall had the Cube's idea for a season-long arc of Doctor Who, but didn't know for sure he'd get the showrunner gig, so spaffed it up the wall in a single episode here. So this was the Powers of Three review I did for Doctor Who, and I am actually very, very much in agreement with that one. It is the kind of episode that feels like this should have been a series-long thing, in the style of Flux, or Torture Children of Earth, or Miracle Day, or whatever. I'm absolutely in agreement with you on that particular one. The Ghost Series 2 finale. They finished filming Series 2 the day before lockdown started in the UK. The following series was made by adhering to strict COVID guidelines. So if you see a group shot where there's either plastic screens hidden behind pillars or other things, or then it was filmed in small groups of 2 to 3, then put together in post, you'll also notice that the plague victims are absent due to these restrictions, as they would have had to get too close to each other in a small room. The wedding has only a few guests due to budget restrictions and not yet COVID restrictions. So the snow came because they needed a reason to only have a handful of guests. Well, that's interesting to know, because I like learning behind the scenes stuff of any show that I watch, because it just makes it more interesting and gives you some perspective and stuff. So yeah, I'll probably just kind of generally just kind of keep my eyes peeled. If I see something in the next series, it may make a lot more sense. But of course, you got the Christmas episode this month, and it's a bloody good one. And I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait for you to see it. Actually, speaking of Ghost, I meant to mention it earlier on. So with Patreon this month, I haven't really done it before, but there are going to be some Patreon exclusive videos this month. I'm not going to go into how many. Currently, I've recorded 5. And these are all ones that may come to the channel in the future. Obviously, that would, because they're all Christmas related, they wouldn't be until like next Christmas, at the very least. But they may possibly only ever be on Patreon. So if you want to see them, then like I said, you can head on over there. There is one show that I've not reacted to on the channel before, but if you are a fan of Ghosts, you could have an educated guess as to what that show could be that could tie in kind of to Ghosts, to give you an idea of what that is. I watched that earlier on today, really enjoyed it. There's a stand-up clip that I've sort of recorded, about 15 minutes long. There's some stuff related to kind of nostalgia and TV. I don't want to give too much more away with that one. There is also an episode which will be the episode that will be going out on Christmas Day, in addition to the one that normally goes out on Christmas Day. But that one is going to be an episode of a show featuring a character which has to be considered is possibly one of the biggest global exports and one of the most globally recognised characters from British TV culture. That's the best way I could probably describe that. You might be able to figure it out, you may not. But yeah, that's what it is. And there will also be a movie reaction to something that I have seen before. It is a big Christmas tradition of mine, but it has been requested from one of my super geeks. So I am going to do that. That one will never come to the channel because I have literally seen it. I literally watch it every single Christmas. So again, if you've watched enough of my videos, you may be able to have a guess of what video it is. But that is, like I said, that is a movie, and that will be available on the Patreon. So again, that is an exclusive. If you want to see what they are, head on over there. My dad signed the documents a couple of years ago. He's fine now, but wanted to be sure that we could make decisions for him if he ever couldn't. Having the decision coming from him made it a lot easier for all of us. We know that if he loses his faculties, we have both his permission and legal authority to take care of his affairs, and he knows we are willing to do it and aware of how he wants his life arranged. So that was kind of in reference with the Outnumbered episode where we were kind of talking about having what's the word? The right of probate, or no, is it that? No, it's right of attorney. I can't remember the definition, but you know what I mean. It's basically when you can take care of the affairs of your family members, like your mum or dad or whatever, if they become incapacitated in whatever way. I absolutely agree. I think it's something that everyone should do at some point. Have something in place that you have someone that you can trust in your family, because unfortunately I've heard enough stories where people go, yeah, I did that. Power of attorney, that's the word I was looking for, power of attorney. But yeah, it's there's like I had 2 kids and I argued with my sister because I was power of attorney for my dad and she wasn't, or she was and I wasn't, and she tried to manipulate him to change his will and do all this bits and bobs. So I got, it's a very messy area. So the quicker you could do something like that to make sure that you and your family are protected, then I always believe that is something that should definitely be done. Fun fact for you, Greta, who is, or rather was, Dave Gorman's girlfriend in this series, is now married to Danny. So this was, of course, filmed for the Important Astrology Experiment, and that's interesting. I've heard that Dave and Danny don't really speak that much anymore. I wonder if this Greta and her changing of partner has had anything to do with it. I don't know. Let me know if you know. With staying on Important Astrology Experiment, another great series completed. What is next for Dave Gorman? So, with Dave Gorman, of course, I'm going to be continuing on doing Modern Life is Goodish. How, when, I don't know, but it will be continuing to happen. I've got a couple of episodes of Genius I've managed to find, and a couple episodes of what's it called? Terms and Conditions Apply. I found a couple of episodes of that. Both of those shows, I haven't been able to find full episodes of all the series. If you can find links of full series and stuff to find, then great. I have a one-off, sort of just over an hour special for Dave Gorman, which I will probably do at some point. And one thing that I have had on the back burner for a couple of months, from about the summer actually, I've had a request, and this is a guaranteed request video. So what I said before, Dave's friend Danny, who of course filmed a lot of stuff in the early days, he did a series called, I think it's called How to Make Your Own Country or something like that. And I've got all 6 episodes of that, and I will be doing them at some point in the new year. That's probably most likely to be the next one. Sort of ties in with it a little bit there. According to a face recognition app, you resemble PJ Byrne. I had to look this one up. I didn't have a clue who PJ Byrne was, and as soon as I saw the image, clearly this face recognition app just goes, let's find a chubby man wearing glasses. That's all it's going to do. That's all it's done from what I can make out with that. The Scottish Parliament considers petitions with just one signature. The number of signatures a petition has does not affect how or whether it is considered. So you can imagine the mischief some send in. That sounds incredibly dangerous. When they say it considers petitions, can you be a little bit more specific in what you mean by that? As in, they consider it as in whether they take it forward to a debate or whether they do anything, or give me a little bit more background with that one. First time watching Scott Squad, and it was a long watch. I didn't necessarily think it was that long of a watch. It didn't feel like overly onerous. That can be the thing sometimes with some shows. There's shows that I've loved that have flown by. Shows I've watched that I've loved and they have crawled by. I'm like, I really need to see more of this. And equally the same with both of those for shows that I haven't liked. You know, some shows I haven't liked and have just flown by. I'm like, thank God that's over. Or the ones I'm like, God, I'm still watching this. You know, so yeah, I enjoyed Scott Squad. A lot of people did seem to enjoy it. And it inspired even a couple of people to go back and binge watch episodes because they hadn't seen it in many years. So everyone has their own personal taste. I met Tim Healy on Saturday at Comic Con, and he seemed in good health now, thankfully. Lovely chap. So Tim Healy, of course, plays plays Leslie in Benidorm, and yeah, I'm very glad to hear that Tim recovered from whatever issue that forced him out of Series 9 of Benidorm. Hopefully he comes back for Series 10. Fingers crossed, especially now that I know that he's not actually dead in real life. Please, after Benidorm is finished, can you react to Scarborough? It's written by Darren Litton, who also writes Benidorm. A few people have suggested this, and from what I've been able to see, it's literally only lasts like one series, and it's like 6 episodes or so. So it's definitely something I could consider doing at some point. Literally do a short mini run of that. Definitely consider that. I was 8 years old when I first saw this episode of Doctor Who, and it broke me. I started watching the show at the very end of Tennant's run, so Smith is my Doctor and Amy and Rory were my companions, and I felt like they'd actually died in real life. It was a school night as well, and I couldn't get to sleep after that. I get you. The episode where Amy and Rory leave, the Angels Take Manhattan, it is, as I said in that review, it is a heartbreaking one, and arguably rivals the exit of Donna Noble. I think, on reflection, because Donna's sort of, it seemed like he came out of nowhere, probably still just, and I mean just, takes top spot for me. Because at least with the Amy and Rory, it seemed like they were suggesting it, of course due to the nature of the Weeping Angels, it seemed like they were, kind of setting it up. And to be fair, it was already announced that they were going to be leaving. So as soon as you started seeing something, you're like, yeah, this could be it. So it was shocking, it was heartbreaking, but it wasn't maybe as shocking as it could have been. If they had never announced that they were leaving the show, wow, what a way to round out their time that would have been, as a complete shock. I just found your channel through your reaction to Merlin. YouTube clearly has a good read on me. I'd love for you to do more. Fantastic show that actually gets really dark at certain points. For a wholesome family show, it really does push the boundaries more than you'd expect a few series in. It's very similar to Doctor Who in that way. Well, episode 2 is already out, and episode 3 will be coming in the new year, because my super geek, which is James Bolton, he has basically, each of his guaranteed requests that he gets as being a Super Geek member on Patreon, has requested literally every episode so far. So it's probably going to continue if James decides to stay as a Super Geek. And even if he doesn't, he goes off, I would probably end up continuing it because it is a really good show. I really like it. The next episode of Outnumbered is totally chaotic, one of my favourites. On a serious note, what you said about Santa interviewing and Ofsted was really insightful and interesting. As an autistic person myself, I tend to write down a list of possible questions I'm likely to be given in an interview. Most of the time, some of the big ones I fear aren't necessarily said. Last year I did a work placement doing volunteer work at the Hijinks Theatre in Cardiff, helping students with autism and learning difficulties, so being on the spectrum already gave me an advantage of how to support them. Furthermore, being an actor, I'm good at improvising, so if I'm asked a question that I wasn't expecting, I just think hard with the information I have related to it and deliver a response in a professional manner. That pretty much is all that you can do in an interview setting. It's horrible at the best of times, but particularly if you suffer from anxiety or you're autistic or things like that, it just puts so much more pressure on. Now, of course, when I originally recorded this episode, this was sort of late August, early September. When I recorded this, even though it only came out literally towards the end of November on YouTube anyway. I am very delighted to say that after recording that episode, I have been actually offered a new job. At the second time of asking, actually. It was a job that I originally applied for, didn't get. A short while after, I saw it advertised again, so they clearly needed someone again. And so I went for the interview again, and I was very open, very honest with them, and I simply said, right near the start, and I answered it a number of times in the question, I am autistic, so sometimes I may not answer in the best way, so please do bear with me, and I think interviewers will often take that into consideration. And one of the feedbacks I got was the fact that, after the first interview, I had obviously asked and asked for feedback, and I was able to utilise the information I got from that to then help me when I reapplied, because I had that same question came up again, and I was able to answer it in a better way, which meant that it kind of tallied with their scoring systems, and they just really appreciated, for the type of job that it is, it really tallies that I am an open and honest person who cares, and is very reflective and things. So, yeah, I am delighted that I was offered that. It is something that, because of the nature of the job, I have to go through quite an intense vetting procedure. So I'm probably not going to be able to start the job until maybe January, February, March time, whenever the vetting process comes back. But it is something that I'm very delighted that I've been offered that job. I just literally have to wait to do that, and then I can leave my current role, which is being a bit less satisfactory recently. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, I would say to anyone, if at first you don't succeed, keep trying and keep getting feedback. That's all you can do. My parents were at the live recording of Rhapsody Nesbitt. Apparently, Gregor Fisher hated doing the live concerts. With theatre shows, it's not going to be for everyone. Particularly if you are a leading man or leading woman. Because there's a lot of pressures to it. Obviously, doing like a 2-hour show, if what you do is mostly, for example, TV work, is a very different process. Sometimes I think you have to get into. You have to think about things differently. You have to obviously learn your lines very differently. I love the theatre. I love performing on stage, but I can appreciate it. It's not for everyone. But kudos for him for actually doing it. Good night, sweetheart. Gary is a total dick, no question as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't undermine the show for me. I enjoy Breaking Bad even though Walter's a dick. I enjoy Blackadder even though Edmund's a dick. And I enjoy Black Books even though Bernard's a dick, etc. And the fact that the show is aware of the fact that he's not a very nice man is what makes all of the difference. When a show accidentally creates an arsehole and tries to portray them as a hero, it's annoying. But when it's by design, I have no problem with an unlikable protagonist. Ron has called Gary out on his behaviour several times, even though he clearly doesn't have a problem with it, in a very 90s lad way. He's been called married with a bit on the side, and it's been outright called adultery several times. As long as the show is self-aware, it doesn't bother me that the protagonist isn't a very nice person. I'm in 100% agreement with you. I have seen Breaking Bad, so I get what you say with Walter, and of course with Black Books. I've obviously seen series 1 of that so far. Blackadder, not seen yet, so can't really make any comment on that one. But I absolutely agree with you. There is that fine line, isn't there, when you're doing something for an entertainment purpose, and the way, like with Walter in Breaking Bad, I think he starts off as a character that you really sympathise with. Because obviously he's got cancer. He's trying to raise money for his family before he passes away. And he does so using skills that he's learned and developed for many, many years, but he's doing an immoral thing for a moral reason. And I get that. As he goes on, you do question him. You question him as a character. You're like, is he good? Should I be rooting for him? And you kind of are. And I think it's because you've been along with him on that journey. I would say similar to Bernard in Black Books. I think you've been along with him. You know from the outright he's a bit of a dick, and it is just he is what he is. With Gary, again, you've kind of known from episode 1 that this is kind of what he's doing. It would take a very, I think, narrow-minded person to not watch that first episode and not think he's gonna, try something here. I think you'd have to be very close-minded to not be able to predict that's what's going to happen with that show. Unless they go down a really, really dark path with him, I don't think I will get to the point where I'm like, I really don't like him as a character, to the point that makes me think I don't even really want to watch the show anymore. It would have to take something really bad, I think, for that. As it is, in its current guise, I'm okay with it, but I still want to see Gary get his comeuppance at some point. I think we need to see that. Still on Goodnight Sweetheart, in that same episode, the little girl, she lost her parents in the Blitz, but she's not been told yet. That, I think, now explains why she was kind of a little bit sad at the party. So thank you for Paul and for the other people that were kind of explaining that to me with that one. With the Doctor Who The Snowman episode, my review that I did, mind blown with you spotting that link to the Family of Blood, which makes total sense now I think about it. Can we perhaps rename the channel from Kevin the Geek to Waffler the Genius? I do waffle a lot, and I'm most certainly not a genius. So no, I will not be changing the channel name for that. To be honest, the only reason I kind of came up with that theory is because I was basically watching it again. So I recorded the episode. I basically did a day where I watched and then recorded my review for each of the episodes of the first half of Series 7 of Doctor Who. Then I came to edit it weeks later, couldn't find the file. The one file that I could find was corrupted. So I was like, bugger, I've lost it all. I have to re-record the episode. So I watched it again. And of course, when I was watching it the second time, I'm looking at different things as I'm going through it. And that's just what I think just this time I was kind of drifting in and out a little bit, and I was like, oh, that floor looks a bit familiar. Oh, that's the. And then I'm like pausing the video, I'm going and check. And it just suddenly came to me as I'm doing it. So I eventually did actually find the edited version that I'd been able to, because long story, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, I managed to find a version that was uncorrupted, but after I'd done the re-record of the review, and by that point I was like, I need to go with my second review on this one, because I think this theory that I've come up with is so much better than the stuff I was waffling and talking about in the first time. So yeah, sometimes by complete accident you can get different views and different takes on stuff. So I was very proud of that theory, and I'm glad that other people kind of have enjoyed that as well. I'm visually impaired and know a lot of blind people and visually impaired people, and we love blind jokes. Should never take things too serious, and one thing is blind people never go to hell. The devil is too worried they will walk on his tail. I'm fully in agreement. I think we've got to a point in society that I think that sometimes we get too overhung up on listening to stuff and getting too easily offended at stuff. I think sometimes the best people to ask in that situation, like if you find offence, let's say at a dwarf joke, but you are yourself not a dwarf, maybe that's the kind of thing that you should speak to someone who has dwarfism and say, do you find that joke offensive? You know, let them be the judges of it. You know, if you want to be offended with it, then that's fine. But again, like, maybe speak to the people who are actually impacted by the joke. If it's a racism joke, speak to someone, you know, of whatever ethnicity it is that is affected by that joke. You know, if it is a gay joke, then speak to someone who is gay or lesbian. You know, there's going to be many different things, and not everyone is always going to appreciate the same jokes, and not everyone is always going to be offended by the same jokes. That's why comedy is so subjective, and you've got to be so careful with stuff. And the final comment for this video is from the Planes, Trains and Automobiles condensed version reaction that I did. From Andy. I've been putting this movie off for 40 years because I thought it was a transport film. I'm glad I watched it. It's now my favourite film of all time. Thanks for reacting to it. I probably have to watch the full movie rather than edited highlights. I promise I won't leave it another 40 years. In fact, I'm sure I'll watch it before you get around to watching No Country for Old Men. This film had pathos. I bet you didn't figure out the ending. It struck a chord with me, Kevin. Are you home alone this Christmas? I did kind of have my theories and my thoughts on the kind of ending and the death of the wife, or that she had already died. I can't remember from the full reaction whether I verbalized it at any point or not, but I definitely had that thought running through my head. I've had similar thoughts in different things, like the Christmas movie came out, I don't know what, maybe 5 years ago, the movie Last Christmas. I correctly predicted the twist of that movie. Obviously, I'm watching it, and I was in the cinema with a friend. I just had it in my head. And it's the kind of thing I was like, damn it, I wish I'd said it to her. Because I was like, that would have made me sound so cool and so clever that I'd managed to figure it out. But yeah, I did kind of have it in the back of my head. Sometimes movies, I think they can be easy to predict. Yeah, I hope it's not going to be 40 years before I get around to watching No Country for Old Men. I am definitely trying to get to it at some point. And I will not be alone, home alone this Christmas. I will be spending it with my mum and my sister, my nephew, my brother, a few different people. And then New Year's, obviously the last 2 years I've done a sort of a New Year's live stream. It's possible that I may be going out this New Year. But of course I've got 2 reaction videos coming out for New Year's anyway. So you won't be without your content from me. But yeah, there we go. Right, I'm going to round up the episode there. Normally my videos in the last couple of months for these have been pushing an hour. So I'm going to keep it a lot shorter today. Thank you, as always, for all the comments. Thank you for all the support on the channel. All I can say is I hope each and every single one of you has the most amazing Christmas. You get to eat loads of food. You get to spend time with the people that you love and cherish. And hopefully I can keep you entertained along the way. But that's going to do it for today. For now, my name's Kevin. I am a geek. You've been watching Kevin the Geek. And have a very Merry Christmas.